Well, as you already know who I am, I'll just quickly pass to Kim to introduce herself. So if you could pop to the next slide.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kim Taylor. I'm the HR manager. I joined CAP in May 2021, initially on a 3-month contract. My HR experience spans well over 35 years in public and private sector. Born and bred in Portsmouth, and really enjoying the challenges that Citizens Advice are throwing at me at the moment.
Thanks, Kim. I think you've probably been lulled into a false sense of security, Kim, by the description of this section, a conversation, because I think it's probably more of an interrogation, as you'll see by the next slide. But I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be, Sandy.
Brilliant. Okay, so question 1, what is employee well-being?
Well, from a perspective of how it is described, employee well-being refers to mental and emotional health of the employees. They say having a positive attitude and contentment at work for employees is one of the best things for their well-being. And they also say that anybody that embodies well-being at work holds a bright and optimistic perception of their work lives, which is great. Again, I think Karen referred to this in her section. The Gallup poll, the 5 pillars of well-being is career, social, financial, physical and community. And it's also a fundamental, well-being's a fundamental grounding for your mental stamina, emotional intelligence and resilience in the workplace. So I think that really goes into being the bedrock of the success of people, their performance, productivity and engagement and creativity. And it works well as long as the organisation supports that.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And we are obviously with you on board now doing our best to improve that area. Okay, so question 2, who is responsible for employee well-being?
Right. Well, from a perspective as an employee and as a manager, I would say we are all responsible for our own well-being as much as an organisation is responsible for employee well-being. So we all have a certain responsibility to look after our own well-being, and that can be in how we talk to our employees, what processes we have in place, how we deal with issues within the workplace. It's about everybody working together. So it's being a community that supports each other, talks to each other, recognises if somebody is not performing or they have a concern about another employee, bringing that to the attention. So I think we are all responsible for well-being.
Thank you. Okay, so question 3, how does employee well-being impact on the organisation?
Right, well, I'll give you the positives first. Well-being improves motivation, which leads to higher productivity. Improved wellbeing and volunteer health reduces absences, so it reduces cost on sick pay and covering when or not being able to deliver your service. A healthy employee feels better and capable and more physical about performing their duties. We gain all sorts of additional support from those with really good well-being. The business itself and the organisation itself also gains because it's able to provide a better working culture for all of those that are working within the business. Negatives, there are very few negatives from adopting well-being, as we can see. But the issue is the cost of the organisation of being able to support with additional benefits, potentially to help promote wellbeing. But in the long term, I think the costs would be completely exonerated if you can prove that it's improved your attendance, your productivity, increased your ability to provide better services, and you've got a really good, loyal, which we have at Citizens Advice, loyal and productive team who want to help and keep the team and keep the business working well.
Yeah, I think we'd agree as a charity, we can't always offer the best benefits to our staff, but we've managed to find creative ways of doing that, haven't we, in the past year?
Yes,
And it has had an
yes.
impact, and it hasn't been that expensive. So I
No.
wholeheartedly agree with that. Okay, so moving on to the next question. What are the essential elements for creating a healthy workplace?
Oh, well, that's a good one, I think. I think creating a healthy workplace, there are what I consider to be three main areas, and that is the organisational culture, the leadership of the organisation, and the way you manage your people. And if you've got those three working together and they're all supportive, that creates a very good wellbeing and engaged business, and the staff within it are also engaged and happy to support our processes as we go forward.
Okay, I'm just going to ask an additional question there because I'm curious. So you said about the leadership. So what makes good leadership in terms of healthy workplace?
I think visibility, their communication, being able to be spoken to if you've got an issue, so being approachable, understanding, not dismissing, because some people do dismiss. Managers, I've worked in companies where you've gone to a manager and said, oh, I've got an issue, and they've gone, yeah, well, I'm busy at the moment, don't worry about it, we'll talk about it later, and then it never gets done. So it's nice to be able to approach people. And I haven't been here as long as a lot of your management team have. And I have to say, it's one of the better places that I've ever worked. The team are absolutely brilliant. The management are brilliant. The staff and the volunteers, I couldn't wish to work with a better group of people or team. So I would say that's what makes your the healthy working place. That makes it healthy. Being able to say if you're not feeling great, and having the support of your colleagues and the leadership team have to lead by example. They have to be what people look up to. You're leading the team, so if they don't feel that they can come to you with an issue, then that's going to cause even more problems.
Thank you. Yeah, that helps me to understand it a little better. And I will pay you later for those lovely comments. Thank you so much. Okay, so next question. What would you say the number one reason is for poor well-being in employees?
I would say the number one reason for poor wellbeing employees is the lack of visibility. And as I said before, visibility, transparency, communication, and also knowing that having clear duty roles, so as if they don't understand what their roles are properly, they tend to get very frustrated, they tend to get very upset, and sometimes if they feel that the goalposts are being moved too quickly and nobody is explaining why that's happening. So it's looking at all areas of their employment, and it's also being able to talk and know that they're being listened to, because there's nothing worse than somebody talking to you and you not listening to them, and you say, oh, I've heard what you've said, but you haven't really. And it's understanding if somebody's talking to you, trying to read between the lines of the problems that they are highlighting to you. Is it a workplace issue? Is it something external? And it's just really being open and honest with them and asking questions. As Jan brought up about the Ask project, it's no different with your employees. You ask them, you talk to them, you ask them how they're feeling. If you know somebody is not coping, you make it clear that they have channels to go through. I mean, we've got their Together All, we've also got their colleagues and their managers, and they've all got good relationships. I mean, I've been in so many briefings where we've had so many laughs and jokes about different things, and it's nice to have that support. And I think the number one reason is the lack of communication within businesses and organisations. And I think within Citizens Advice Portsmouth, we are quite lucky that I would say we've got a really good open channel of communication. And I think people know, everybody, even the volunteers, know that they can come to us if they've got any issues, and we will do whatever we can to support them.
Yeah, thank you. I think communication, it's always the word that comes up, isn't it? And it's such a
Yeah.
hard thing to master. And I think there's always things you can learn about communication. But yeah, it's always the number one thing that is raised, maybe how we communicate, how often we communicate. And I think we consistently have to work on getting that right, but it's important that we do keep working on it. Okay, so next question. During this pandemic, how have we as an organisation dealt with supporting employee wellbeing?
Well, as I say, I only come in 2021 and the pandemic was well underway by then. But we've done our best by keeping our staff safe, by having all our social distancing, doing our working from home. If people aren't feeling well, then we do what we can to permit them either to not work, or if they want to work but they don't feel they can get into the office, we will support their working from home. I think all the we've done I got some theatre tickets that we sent out a message to for people just to say a thank you for all the work they've done. I think we as an organisation have dealt very, very well, and we've done our best to support whatever anyone's come back to us with if they've had an issue or they want us to deal with something completely that's out the ballpark that we've not dealt with before. We've always looked at all options that we can have available to us. So I think as an organisation, I think Citizens Advice could literally put themselves up on a pedestal compared to other organisations.
That's a big claim. I think some of the things that we've discovered, haven't they, have been that opportunities to socialise at work have been really important.
Yes,
Sort of encouraging getting to know your colleagues better and encouraging friendships in the workplace has also been something we've sort of focused on, haven't they?
Yeah, and I do a monthly email out to people just asking if everybody's okay, and we have our weekly briefings that people can come into, and sometimes we'll do the briefing and we'll still all stay online and we'll have a chat about how things are going. So it's keeping everybody connected, because it's been very hard during the pandemic to do that with all businesses, and I think it's keeping that connection together. And even though, I mean, if I had to put my hand on heart, I haven't met anybody at Citizens Advice in bodily face-to-face meetings yet because of the pandemic, and it's been really funny how my relationships with my colleagues and employees and the trustees and the volunteers has grown. So it's not about being remote or distance, it's about engaging with everybody and making sure that everybody knows they can engage with you.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should mention as well one of our wonderful volunteers, Karen, who created Cap Chit Chat for us as well, didn't they?
Yes.
So we send out a monthly communication, which is, it communicates our successes, our performances, but it also communicates little things, the individual things about each other, and any news from any of our colleagues, which help us stay in touch with each other. Yeah,
we congratulate people on their birthdays, and we sometimes have these pictures, or I've seen pictures of people's flowers in the gardens when in the summer, and when people have gone on holiday, they put pictures in, pictures of doggies like your little dash outs.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I know that when I lost my dog back in the summer, everybody was so supportive, and I know you didn't want to put pictures up of your dog because you knew I'd lost mine, and I said to you no. So it's nice that people consider other people's feelings, and I think within this particular organisation, everybody considers everyone's feelings and supports them as much as possible. And it's just like I do every morning. I just type in good morning to people on Teams. And some people answer sometimes, Sandy.
Is that the point where we move on to the next question?
but we have and we have chats, and during the day, if we know that there's something we want to talk about, and that is important. That is really important, especially during this time, because I don't like using this word because they keep on using it. During this unprecedented situation, it has caused a lot of people to feel isolated, lonely, and yes, it has impacted on people's mental health and well-being and their physical health and well-being. And some people just can't cope with that. And it's nice to know that you've got a team here that you can just sort of message them and say, oh, I'm not feeling great today, and they'll come back and go, oh, do you want to have a chat? and it's great that you can either get on the phone or you can do a chat through the Teams, and that is very important. That is vital to ensure that we are keeping in contact with everybody and making sure that we're aware of people's situations and can help if we can.
Lovely. Yeah, thanks, Kim. I agree. Okay, so you'll be pleased to know this is the last question. How do we plan to support our employee wellbeing in 2022?
Well, going forward, I think we've still got to carry on with what we're doing, but we've got to look at how other initiatives that are coming out. We've got to look at how we can put new, maybe processes in place to help. I mean, I know we've just put the new menopause policy in place, which a lot of people were very excited about. We've put the new health and wellbeing policy out. It's keeping everybody alert and making sure that they're fully aware of wellbeing and ensuring that they look after their own well-being as much as others, because this is quite a pressurized role that people do here.
Absolutely.
We support a lot of vulnerable people in the community, and that can take its toll on the people that are delivering the service. You know, as we've heard some really good case studies and really good outcomes and things like that, but we need to be aware that not every case may end as well as some of those, and we may have to deal with people in really, really dire situations. And we've got to be prepared as a team and as our colleagues and as a family, I would like to say, that we need to be able to support each other if we are having a really bad day, or we've had a really bad situation and we haven't been able to cope with that. So it's looking at all those things. We also need to learn about disconnecting. We need to be able to separate our work and home lives. And I know that I'm saying I'm preaching this because I'm just as bad as everybody else about doing additional hours and answering emails when you're not supposed to be and taking your time out. And I know we all do it, and anybody that doesn't, I would like to challenge on that. But it's knowing when to stop and when to say enough is enough. And it's being able to do that without feeling like you're letting anybody down. And I think that is important. And the other thing that I think that that causes a lot of organisations to fail with wellbeing is that they do not incorporate it in everything they do, and they will pay lip service to it and they won't follow up on it. And I think we have, because as you said, we've brought in some small changes, and we've enhanced our holiday, and we're looking at other things that we can do that will not be mega costs to the business, but it will help to show the employees that they are valued, they are essential to our business and our volunteers, because the volunteers
Absolutely.
do an absolutely fantastic job, and we have to ensure that we continue to promote that throughout 2022 and further. You know, well-being is essential to any business, and it will make the business grow and be successful.
Thanks, Kim. I agree with you. I mean, that is the thing. Without our teams, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So that's our most important resource, and we need to look after it. And that will be, as we say, a focus moving into 2022.
And my focus will be to make sure that you have a centre of excellence for your HR, and that we have all the best practices in place to support our fantastic teams.
Lovely. Thank you, Kim. Really interesting. And I hope that's been informative for everyone else. Okay, I'm going to pass back to Tom.